Welcome, everybody, to an episode of the Haunted Vermont podcast. My name is Paul Roski, and joining us is two more people across from the lake, as we kind of mentioned last time with Pam Putnam here. So this time joining us, we got Andrea, Anesi, and Kyle Miller. Welcome aboard, you two.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yes.
You're very welcome. So Pam kind of threw me into your way, Andrea, and you obviously put Kyle on board with this, which is all fine with me. I love having more people, and I like to talk about everything weird and cryptic, and everything else that goes on in our state. But since we're talking about Champ, well, he kind of coincides with both New York and the Vermont borders, sort of. But however you want to look at that, we share the same lake, basically.
Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah. So real quick, I guess we'll start off with Andrea. Give us a brief bio on yourself, because I know you told me anyway that you started the Champ Day, or you took over Champ Day in 2020. So I apologize with that, but just give us a brief idea of who you are.
Well, I'm currently the chairperson of the Champ Day Festival Committee, which is under the Mariah Chamber of Commerce. So I was on the committee for a couple of years before I took on being the chairperson. Kyle and I actually moved up here to Port Henry, New York in 2013. It was kind of interesting we sort of knew about Champ, but until we moved up here, we didn't realize that Port Henry considers itself the home of Champ. So that was kind of fun, and it's just an interesting. I like legends and mysterious things. So it's kind of cool that there was this festival held annually to celebrate our legend here. So
that's so cool. Yeah, and next year will be your 10th anniversary for moving up there. So
yeah. Yes.
It's hard to believe.
Yes, hard to believe.
Oh, I believe it. Well, that's like this year. This August, August 26th to be precise, will mark the 10th anniversary of Haunted Vermont since I've started.
Oh wow!
Well, congratulations.
Well, yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Happy anniversary in advance.
Yeah, oh wait, yeah, right here. We're behind me. However, this camera is working. I actually had a buddy of mine make that 10th anniversary logo for us. So,
Cool.
And so I don't know what you can kind of see, but there's Champ down below.
Oh, yeah.
I got
Awesome.
and
Bigfoot.
and Bigfoot.
UFO.
Yep.
Alien.
I got a Thunderbird.
Thunderbird in the moon there.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And then he added some extra goodies in there, like a ghost, a skeleton, and I think something else, but I forget. But yeah, I let him have fun with it.
Well, it's a sharp looking piece.
Thank you.
Now, when you started, did you think 10 years from now I'll be going strong?
No, I did not even realize how big it was gonna become, and then it started to slow down. But I think it kind of does that with everything, with social media and everything. It's just really hard to keep track of everything. And then once you start running out of stories, it's like, well, what do I do? So in this case, I was like, well, I want to start reaching out to new people, meet new people, and figure out what else is there that kind of coincide with Vermont and New York, or even New Hampshire, which I'll eventually probably try to, dive in that neighborhood. But for right now, I'd rather help people out that I know, or meet along the way of people that I know and all that stuff. So yeah.
Excellent.
Cool.
Yeah. So real quick, so Kyle, you run the Home of Champ, which is like an online store. So let's talk to you about that. Let's get an idea of who you are.
Yeah, so I'm a graphic designer, and Home of Champ is one of my little sidelines here. And it all started. I took a job at the visitor center right by the bridge that goes into Vermont there, and I was just astounded by the number of people crossing into New York State who were coming to Port Henry to look for Champ, and to look for merchandise. And there was basically no merchandise to be had. So I saw an opportunity, and that's how Home of Champ was born.
Easy enough. Now, did you ever think about like having like your own little actual location, or is that maybe just something that hadn't really worked out?
Well, I think there's a lot of factors there. I think a brick and mortar store here in Port Henry would do well, especially in the summertime. But the real estate options are very limited here for a couple of different reasons, and the prices are out of line with what a merchant could bring in profit. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but we would basically have to find a property to buy outright rather than rent. And so you never know. We don't know of anything at the moment, but someday it might happen.
Well, at least you got the festival to kind of sell your product around and stuff like
There
that.
There you go.
Yeah.
And what's great about the festival is basically we don't try and corner the market or anything like that. I think there's enough interest in Champ that everybody in town should be selling Champ products. If people are coming here, and this is, the festival aside or not, in the summertime, people want to go out, have an adventure. These people are coming here whether we have things for them or not.
Yes.
So I just feel the more things that we can have for people, the better off our economy is going to be, the more fun people are going to have when they get here. The worst thing that could happen is you have adventure seekers come into Port Henry, turn around and leave. They don't have a good time, and no one here has an opportunity to interact with them. So we want to make this as big and as widespread as possible.
Fair enough. I like it. And I wish you the best of luck down the road if that opportunity does come.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
So, because sometimes people would rather look at the gift shop because, it's like you're looking for Champ, what you say, and then it's just like, now I want a merch. It's like,
Yep.
So in that case, is there any local businesses around that are like promoting your shop or anything?
Well, we did have some merchants who were putting some of our things in their shops, but with COVID, everything's kind of gone into the
things took a little bit of a wrong turn at Albuquerque, we'll say. And so it's some of the businesses are just trying to to rebuild, sort of, in effect, or get back to where they can be
normal,
open all the time, and so and Port Henry is very small, so there's not a lot available as far as locations that we could have things, stores that we could have things in. That it's changing a little bit. It's getting a little better, but it's like any small town. They go through ups and downs. So
unfortunately. And that's the one of the downfalls when it comes to like Amazon, once Amazon or something bigger comes into play, it's like the local businesses get more hurt than anything else. So
right
there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing I didn't mention about Home of Champ, it is meant to satisfy people's need for Champ merchandise, but it's also a two-pronged thing where the other half of it is meant to promote Port Henry in the area. So we're not strictly Home of Champ isn't strictly for profit. You know, if I got filthy rich off of it, that'd be great. But most of the profit I make on it manages to find its way back into the community before I get my Cadillac. so, so that's kind of it's not a bloodthirsty profit making kind of thing. It's more it's a way to make a little money, and most of that money goes back into the community. So
that's awesome.
We have a lot of fun doing it. We have I didn't when I made it, I didn't think that the most rewarding part of it would be becoming part of a community where people from all over the world are friends of Home of Champ now. I can't even remember how many
countries that we have.
Like 50 cities from around like dozens of countries around the world. It's just insane. So I never thought that would be the most satisfying part of it, but it's really a great community of people.
We're not talking Bigfoot, and Bigfoot's a whole different story, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to Bigfoot, you get the negative people, and then sometimes you get the positive people. Mostly the negative, unfortunately, though, because everybody's like, "Oh, well, we've already known that story. It's a hoax, you know, blah blah blah. It's a bear track." Blah,
and
blah,
that's I see that in all the various little genres of cryptozoology, and I'm sure paranormal too. You know, or not that much.
I would, in my opinion, from what I've seen, I would say it's more in the cryptid zoology more than the paranormal, because sometimes there is stuff in the paranormal that you just cannot debunk, and then they're just like, well, I don't know. You know?
Well, that happened.
Well, that happened, but what is this? It's like when you get into UFOs and stuff like that. So, you know, it really depends on who you talk to, I guess, will be the better way of putting it, right?
Right.
We don't have a lot of interaction in the paranormal area, but we did have one customer. We delivered some merchandise to her, and Ticonderoga, wasn't it? Or was it Crown Point? It's Crown Point.
Crown Point.
Crown Point. She actually had UFO experiences in around Ticonderoga and also out by Faro Lake. Is that right? I believe so. Yeah.
No.
And that was like the weirdest thing because we don't usually hear those kind of stories. But boy, it was interesting. She really had some weird experiences.
Yeah. And she wasn't it that it was like 4 people or something,
right?
Wasn't it? It wasn't it wasn't just her. It was a small group of people that had this experience and this UFO related experience, and you could tell when she talked about it that it was clearly something that affected her, and and you can say the same thing about people who talk about cryptid sightings or any other type of paranormal sighting or experience that it's something that affects them, and so clearly they saw something or had some kind of a experience. So
definitely no, you hear that all the time, unfortunately. They either you see something or you don't see something and you experience this or that. The first thing you're gonna hear is I'm too afraid to even tell anybody because I'm of the ridicule and stuff like that. I don't want to be that target, and unfortunately that's the way it has become with certain subjects, if I may say. But now with UFOs, it seems like they're coming out more of how do I even want to say it? Like it's more easier to talk about UFOs now than it was 5-10 years ago.
Right. More cultural acceptance, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. And for me, I've had my experiences with the paranormal and everything else, and it's funny because there was one day where I was out doing my old job, which was traffic control, and I was staring off into the sky, and the sky was like clear blue sky. There really wasn't too much clouds in the sky, and I just see this weird black thing in the sky, and it's just staying there. And I'm just like, okay, this is just weird. Maybe it's a drone or something. And like as the day was going on and stuff, it was just like this thing has still not moved, and I'm just like. So I'm like, okay, this is weird, and so I radioed my partner at the time, and I'm like, just out of curiosity, do you see anything weird in the sky? And he's like, no, and I'm like, you really don't see like this black like whatever this is, like object dot whatever, because it was like kind of far away, so I couldn't really make out all the details. Like some people have, you know, could detail whether it be like a tic tac or what is it, a triangle shape or something like that, and but it was just so weird. So anyway, to wrap up the story just a little bit is so I was just like, well, okay, well, I know we're gonna be finishing up soon, and when you come over to me so we can get into the cruiser, I'm gonna point it out to you so you can see it if it's still there, because I don't know. It could have been a drone and just took it off for all I know. But anyway, so it still didn't take off, and by the time my partner came back to me, I pointed up right at it. But the funny and weird thing about this is, as soon as I pointed at it, that's when it moved,
Oh my gosh.
and it just kept going and going. And I'm like that person too. You hear about there's no sounds. I didn't hear anything. It didn't sound like a helicopter. It didn't sound like a plane or anything. I didn't see any random lights around it or anything. It was just like a pure black, we'll just say dot, because I really didn't see any other type of shape to it. But it just moves, and next thing you know, it was just gone. And I'm just like, I have no idea if I just saw a UFO or a drone.
Wow.
Now, it's hard to in the moment like that, it's hard to guess. But do you have an idea how long it was there, stationary? Like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or?
Oh God, we're talking maybe 2.5 hours.
Oh, geez! Holy cow!
Wow.
I mean, a drone would have like limited batteries, wouldn't it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for all I know, it could have been longer. I mean, from the time I actually noticed it to when we were done, it felt like 2.5 hours. So I really do not know how long that thing has been there. And one of the things I've heard, and I don't know how true this is to really back up this with like evidence or whatever, but maybe you guys have heard of it, so maybe that might be a plus. But supposedly UFOs can be seen after some sort of event happens. So like in this case, so the town that I was at here in Vermont was somewhere around Route 22A, basically back roads in the middle of nowhere, basically a small town. And supposedly what happened was this small stream that you never would have thought would over flood washed out this whole town. And I think this was during Irene, I want to say. And yeah, that was just like the most craziest thing ever, though. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but that's all I know.
Yeah. Well, that's I think that's the thing too, is when you have an experience or you see something, you can say, this is what I saw. I don't know what it is. I mean, we saw something in the lake. We don't know what it was. I mean, we didn't look at it and go, "Oh yeah, there's Champ." We were just like, "What is that?"
It really does make you think. And like I think that's one cool thing about this topic is, like, you have to have an open mind about this. I mean, I wouldn't just rush in and be like, "Oh, Champ," like you said,
Right,
get my camera quick. So, but yeah,
no,
no.
we didn't have a camera that day, so we were walking the dogs. So it was like I didn't even have my phone.
There wasn't like anything weird about it. I mean, I don't know. There wasn't like three humps, right? That's what I hear.
Well,
So, I'll tell you our sighting story. So this was in 2016, and it was the first Friday of July, before the 4th of July weekend, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
And our street is on a little hill that overlooks Bullwagga Bay. So from
a big portion of the lake, we can see the bridge that goes over to Vermont. So.
Oh yeah.
So at certain points, you get quite a panoramic view looking down on the lake. And we stopped just down the street from our house to let the dogs sniff around and do their business. And Andrea and I are standing there talking. We're looking out over the lake, and we noticed this kind of boat thing, and we didn't pay any attention. But then as we're talking, we keep looking at it, and we're going, that's really weird. It's a black thing. It's stationary. It's not moving. And it didn't have a mast. It didn't have any features of a boat. And then we were thinking, oh, geez, I think that's a big boat that's capsized over there.
Right.
And so we're staring at this thing, and we're going, well, it's not moving. If it was a capsized boat, you might see it, I don't know, rock around or something. So by this time, we're just focused on this thing. We're watching it, and it looks like a black hull of a ship that's turned over, and it's not moving, and it's just there. It's not going with the waves. Well, there were no waves, but it's not moving. It's not bobbing.
It was a very still. The lake was very still, so that was what was kind of interesting.
Very slowly, this hump slowly separated into two humps. And then just as slowly, it sank into the water and disappeared. And it probably took about a minute and a half, 2 minutes for this thing to sink. It didn't like just go bloop. It was just very, very slowly and steadily sank into the water, and then it was gone. And we were taking guesses on how big we thought it was, because this is maybe a quarter of a mile away from where we were watching the lake. And as it turned out, the next day we were walking the dogs again, and we stopped and we were talking about what we saw, and we're looking at that exact spot, and a boat goes zooming through there. So I can say with the size of that boat is about the size of the thing we saw. I can say with fair certainty we saw something. The hump that was out of the water was 15 to 20 feet long. So the size of the thing that was under the water, I have no idea, but it had to be a lot bigger than that.
Yeah.
So,
and it wasn't, we've seen wakes and waves and things like that on the lake, and from the angle that we were.
Yeah, so
I don't think it would have looked like that.
When people are fooled by illusions on the water, usually you're at water level. So if you see a wake go by and it looks like a hump, it's because you're on the water.
Right. You're viewing it from a certain perspective.
If you're on a hill looking down on the lake, you can see the line of that wake for 3 miles. Right. So the things that fool people's eyes at lake level are
less likely to fool people's eyes.
They're very evident when you're looking down on it.
Yeah.
So, and boy, that lake was like glass that night. We had about an hour until sunset, and it was just a perfect evening. So if it was Champ, he was really enjoying the summer evening there.
Yeah. I don't know. We don't know what it was, but it was odd.
And it's not like you could. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not like you. Did you think of maybe pieces of a tree or something maybe that have fallen in?
I think
we ran through all the possibilities.
We were kicking it around at one time, and I don't remember now if there had been storms recently. I just don't recall. But I thought, well, what if somehow a giant tarp got blown into the lake? And then maybe air got under it or something like that.
It would have to be giant.
The thing is, it's just off of the Crown Point ruins there, and if it were a tarp, you could see you should be able to see a giant square, whether some of it's out of the water or not.
Right.
So, the sun was low, and it was not reflecting off the water; it was penetrating the water. It was a gorgeous night. But yeah, that's the one thing I came up with. It might have been some kind of tarp with air in it, but we.
Yeah, I mean, we ran through the whole, waves, logs, trees.
Right.
And
I mean, it was so big.
When something
really,
when something like that happens, your eye just goes there every time you walk by. So,
yeah.
And if it were a tarp, something had to become of the tarp. It wouldn't just sink or whatever.
Right.
So I think if it were a tarp, we would have seen it in some form or another. I don't know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's not like it's you hear about how deep Lake Champlain is, but this is actually a very shallow part of the lake where this sighting occurred. So
maybe it was the smaller one.
Maybe what?
I said maybe it was the smaller one.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of discredit the idea of a tarp just because I think we would have been able to tell it was a tarp or see it wash up the next day or something. I don't know.
And that's what I was thinking. You would either see it wash up, or if there was waves, it would have helped moved it back and forth a little bit, just to kind of help you get a better answer. So,
right.
Even before we had our sighting, we knew people are seeing real objects, real things in the lake. We don't have any guess as to what they are, but we already had an open mind. We know so many people, believable people that have seen things. So it's not like we were skeptics and now we're believers.
Right.
We're just people that saw something we can't explain, like all the other people that saw something they can't explain.
Well, and too, we both were, when we were young, we both were kind of interested in all those sort of strange and unusual things. And so I think in part that's why we both are very open-minded about it. It's like, well, it could be any number of things, but we also kind of look at it as all right. So what did we see? What or what did that person see? How do they describe it? Can we discount anything? You know what I mean? Looking at it that way, but still keeping an open mind.
And that's the best way to do it, honestly. And speaking of which, and you mentioned a great thing, like descriptions, and you've heard other stories. So has any stories that anybody has told you, have they matched up to anything similar to like what you were mentioning there, Kyle?
That's a good question. I don't really have a great catalog of stories in my mind, but I know
there was I was talking with one of our at Champ Day last year. I was talking with actually two of our meet and greet guests and telling about this, what we saw, and they both mentioned another sighting that was very similar that was described as looking like the hull of an overturned boat. So, and I don't know offhand where in the lake that was. I think it was more north, and I think it was somebody in Vermont or something like that. So, do you remember anything?
I won't mention any name of the area here, but
I don't remember. Yeah, there might be another person.
One person here in town who lives very close to the lake described seeing something that looked like an overturned hull of a boat moving away from the shore.
Yeah. Now that I think that
Now, as far as changing shape, I know Scott Martis, when he had a sighting up near Burlington.
Up in Burlington area, yeah.
He saw a large black hump that then kind of rolled over and almost looked like it had or a fluke or something like that. Mm. So that would be an instance of a hump that changed shape.
Right.
So for me, I'll go off subject here for a moment. There was a Albrecht door engraving once that showed this weird shape, and it people through the centuries argued what was the shape of this thing.
Like what is it?
It was like just a really weirdly geometric stone in this etching he did. And eventually mathematicians figured out what this thing was, the shape of this all the way around. So that's how I think of how do you figure out what champ is. And if you just take, for example, my sighting, it was a hump and then it divided in. I don't particularly picture something made of Play-Doh or jelly or something like that. I picture an object that is
rotating
in the water, so that the humps are just another side of this thing that we didn't see. Maybe it was on its side or it was belly up, catching some rays. I don't know. So that's if I were to collect all of the sightings, and I'm not the kind of person that would do this. It's too much work for me. But I would take those sightings and I would then piece by piece. It's kind of like the story of blind men describing an elephant. Every sighting is a blind person describing an elephant. You just put enough of them together and see what is out there that fits the description. How it changes, or how do you explain, going from one hump to two? It's just you have to figure out, well, that tells you how it's shaped or how it's built,
Right. No, that makes sense. And the reason why I was saying, like, if you've heard anything similar is because so recently I was listening to a podcast about UFOs, and they did like a call in for their listeners. And anyway, this guy called in from Connecticut, and he basically described almost the same exact thing that I saw, as I told you guys, like this black dot or something that was in the air, and et cetera, only his didn't move. It like vanished at that same spot.
Oh wow.
So
they've been in roughly the same time period.
It was 2014-16, I think he said. And so mine was like somewhere around 2010, somewhere around there.
Right.
Yeah, wow. So very interesting. And the other reason why I bring it up too is like, so that made me think, and then it also reminded me of the story that I heard, or at least tipped or something. I don't know how to really word this, but basically I've been told that people claim that Lake Champlain is possibly a great place for a UFO base down in the water because of how deep it is. Because supposedly they've heard people mention that they've seen UFOs come out and go into the water. So I don't know.
Well, who knows?
Keep watching the lake.
Keep watching the lake. That's what
and
we
the
like.
sky. Yeah. Now, real quick to go back to like Champ Day for a minute. So, basically, what is Champ Day?
Well, it was a celebration that was actually started in the 1980s. The first official Champ Day festival was in 1985, and it was basically started by the Maria Chamber of Commerce at the time, just as to kind of draw people to the area, celebrate this local legend, that the whole nine yards, kind of, a lot of the businesses were involved. It was up on, it was actually on Main Street, so it wasn't on the waterfront at all. And was a more recent more recent change to having it at Champ Beach Park and Campground, which is right on the waterfront of Lake Champlain. So you can be at the festival and you can look out at the lake, and you never know, you might see Champ. So
I gotta ask Kyle then. Is that where that I want to say that button comes into play? The I camped with Champ.
Yeah, so one of the unique things about Port Henry is we have two of the very few campgrounds directly on the lake. I don't know how many there are, but you could probably count them on one hand for the entire lake. And we have two of them right here. So for our campers, since we're the home of Champ, you don't have to camp here, but you can get your I Camped with Champ sticker, and you can also, we have a little bottle opener for your camping refreshments that also says I Camped with Champ.
I was browsing through your little site because I was just like, oh, that's so cool. And then as she said that, it reminded me of it.
That's so cool. There you go. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a gorgeous. We have a gorgeous waterfront here, and you know, both of the beaches that are associated with these two campgrounds. These are both town-owned campgrounds, and the beaches are both public beaches. So, as a matter of fact, last fall, I worked with the town of Mariah to get a historical marker at the Bulwaga Bay Beach, which is connected with the Bulwaga Bay Campground. Again, that's the other town-owned campground. Mm-hmm. To get a historical marker for our local legend that it actually serves as an origin story for Champ. And it's the legend of, as they call her, Princess Bulwaga. And it's one of those very romanticized kind of legends of, you know, you have the beautiful young woman who has, you know, two suitors, you know, two you know, handsome young men who are in love with her, but she only loves one of them, and the other one is so jealous that he basically pushes her into the lake, and she drowns. And then he realizes what he's done, and he flings himself into the lake, and he is transformed by the angry fates into a huge sea monster.
Oh man!
He was destined to swim around Bulwaga Bay, calling for his love. So there's how Champ came about. But it was sort of an oral story that is very, very old, but I think was kind of romanticized a bit over time. And so we have a marker now that you can go and visit. It's right at the beach there at Bulwaga Bay.
Cool.
And you can look right out at Bulwaga Bay and maybe have your own Champ sighting. So,
or you can get pushed in for the call of the love.
No, we don't want to. No. People will be safe. There's no.
No, I don't. That story kind of reminds me of the movie. I don't know if you guys seen it, but it's called The Shape of Water.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Think of like The Creature of the Black Lagoon, but like more of a romantic movie. And there you go. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
We'll have to check it out.
I mean, it's by it's from or produced by Del Toro as well. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I know he's a legend with monsters, so you may like it.
It must be a visually stunning movie then if he produced it.
Depends on who you ask.
Oh, okay.
some people don't like it, some people do. So maybe
Well, I'll
because
check
of
that out.
the yeah, maybe because of the romantic aspect of it. I don't know. People just yeah, they're just like it put me to sleep or like it's way too lovey dovey for me or something, or it's not enough scary or something like as the creature from the Black Lagoon. But yeah, it's still funny though. But that story for some reason just brought me to that movie. But that's funny.
Well,
Um,
just since you were mentioned a movie, one thing I do want to toss out there is that one of the new things that we've added to Champ Day, this will be the first year, we're doing Champ's Monster Movie Night at the beach. And that's going to be at Bulwaga Bay Beach, where I was just talking about.
so
And
you can camp and see a movie.
you can exactly.
There you go.
It's we're having Andy McDougall, who's a film collector, 16 millimeter film collector. So he's got these amazing movies. He's from Plattsburgh, and so he's going to be showing Monster from the Ocean Floor. So I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's from 1954, I think.
I'm gonna have to put that on my to find list now.
Well, you could come on up and see it. It's free
That's true.
to go and see
That's
it.
true. That's true.
And we're gonna do a whole. We're just gonna be kind of. It's an outdoor movie. Kind of give it have a little bit of a beach party atmosphere, and just really have fun with it because it's just an old timey movie kind of thing. So that's a new thing that we've added, and that's August 5th. That's a Friday at 7.
The Friday before, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's cool.
our
I like
Champ
that idea.
Day pre-party.
Your Champ what?
Champ Day pre-party.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you can just wake up right on the beach and just get dressed, and there you are. You're at Champ Day, I guess. Because, like I said, and then you can go on Home of Champ and get your I Camp with Champ sticker or button.
There you go. Stop by the tent. We'll have them.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll have his booth open at Champ Day, and I'll tell you, so far I think we've got a few vendors that are have said, well, we have these Champ things that we're gonna have available at Champ Day. We try to get like artisans, craftspeople, people who maybe are making very unique things that people might be interested in. And we are also having, I just want to toss this out there. We have our, we call it the Crypto Cave Meet and Greet tent. And we have some special guests, so they'll be there at the tent all day, and people can meet them. It might be filmmakers, book authors, researchers, artists who do, cryptid stuff. So it'll be an opportunity for people to meet them, buy their products, get books signed, all that kind of stuff. Talk, if it's a researcher, they, talk about their sightings and that kind of thing. So this year we're having Chatan Noir, who is actually she's from the Midwest, but last summer she was here doing a little research on Lake Champlain. She actually is the managing head writer and owner of, have you ever heard of Squatch GQ magazine?
Just the name. Yeah, just the name.
There's a series of magazines that she does, and she's very into cryptid and paranormal travel. So she does a little bit of everything. Very interesting person. She's going to be there. We also have Ronald Murphy, who is an investigator of all kinds of things, from like cryptozoology, leaning into paranormal, UFO kind of stuff. He has a special interest in lake monsters, so he has a book called on aquatic monsters of the Great Lakes. But he does talk a little bit about Champ in that book, and also I believe the Loch Ness Monster. So he's going to be there, and we also are going to have there's filmmakers and book authors that are doing or are going to be filming this summer. Lucy and the Lake Monster. They're going to be filming here in the Port Henry Crown Point area. So they are going to be at Champ Day, and they may even have their. It's not confirmed yet, but they may have their lead actress. I think her name is Emma Pearson. She's a child actor. She's going to portray Lucy of the film. So, so that'll be, an opportunity. There's also a book to go along with this film, and they thought they might have the book ready by that time. Sorry, our dogs are playing with their toys. Sorry about that.
No worries. I got a cat sometimes that like to jump up here and cause havoc, so it's all good.
So we're very excited about our guests this year. Last year we had great guests. We had Alexander Petikoff. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Carrick St. Laurent, Paul Bartholomew, and Kenny W. Irish, who are all very like research investigator oriented, but have either made films or written books or made documentaries, that kind of thing. So so this year is just maybe just a little bit different, a little more oriented towards filmmaking, book authors, that kind of thing. So it should be interesting.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It's really sad though that I've only now heard of it about this, like I think this year, unfortunately, because I didn't ever realize like something like this was going on, because that's just how lame Vermont is. So we don't really hear anything cool like this going on. Just like I just remembered that there's a Sasquatch Festival that goes on in Whitehall, New York.
In Whitehall, that's a great festival. That is a great festival. We went 2 different years, and man, that festival just in the 2 years has grown like crazy. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge now. So it's fun, very fun festival. The calling contest is just really a fun thing to watch.
Oh boy, I can only imagine that.
We do something. We do a contest for Champ Day called the Champ Lure Contest. Now, mind you, you're only luring Champ for a photo, not for any other reason. But we have both an adult and a kids category, and a $50 cash prize for each category there. So the idea is, how would you lure a Champ for a photo? And it could be just about anything, really. Whatever way you think you would draw Champ out of the water. So last year we had these 2 incredibly adorable girls ended up winning. One had, well, I'm sure her parents helped her created. She disguised herself as I think it was actually Champ's girlfriend. She said Champina. So she was so cute in her little costume, was like a green with streamers and flowers on the top, so you knew that was Champ's girlfriend. And we had one that made a special treat that had it was like a little pie. That had gummy worms in it and like crushed Oreos to look like dirt, and because she thought Champ would come up to eat that.
Earthworm, yeah, very clever.
We had a couple of kids came and did like a roar, kind of like a monster roar, to try to call Champ. It was really fun, and so we're doing that again this year.
That's cool.
I can't wait to see what people come up with.
I think that already sounds like the best part too, because just to see like what people come up with. So.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, you have this one goal, but how you accomplish that goal, it could be just about anything. You could do a tribal drum call, or you could sing a song that might draw him out of the water, or just the possibilities are endless, we'll say.
And that's not a bad thing. Let your imagination go wild.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, I don't think I've heard you guys mention it yet, so I'm just going to say it anyway, just to throw it out there. So for this type of event, is it free? Is there tickets? When did it start? When did it end?
Well, it's so the main festival is on Saturday, August 6th, and it is from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. It's a completely, well, I won't say complete. It's a free admission event. There will be food vendors. There will be merchandise vendors. There's a cardboard boat race. So you build your cardboard boat, and then there's a race. That's another really fun. That's something that the festival's been doing for many, many years. So it's very popular. We have Penelope the Clown, who will be there. She's been at Champ Day for years. Very popular. We have what we call the Creative Cove for Kids, which is the big blue tent, and kids can come and do like an art craft type project. We haven't settled on what it's going to be this year, but it's something that they can make, and then they take that home with them. So. Have I covered everything?
Yeah, it's like you said, a free event and lots of fun for everybody.
Free admission. So.
And what about the August 5th event for the movie?
That is also free admission.
We're encouraging people to have fun with it. Wear a beach outfit,
beach theme, 1950s theme, monster theme outfit of some sort, because we're gonna give away a prize for the best theme outfit. So we'll do that at the movie night. But yes, that is also free admission.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we want people to come and have a lot of fun and really enjoy their time here, and really get a chance to see the beauty that we get to see living here all year round. This is a wonderful place, wonderful lake, and if there's something out there in the lake, maybe you get a chance to see it.
Let's hope like most people don't get scared, because honestly, so after I talked with Pam, and after I released Pam's episode, I ended up getting a message from a lady. I'm not going to mention her name, but her message basically was just like, I am now afraid of Lake Champlain because I don't like the idea that there's something in that lake. And I'm like,
oh no.
and I'm like, well,
there's probably worse things in the lake than that would keep you out.
Yeah, if she doesn't
meat.
like Champ, she's not gonna like the lampreys.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Lampreys are,
no. But no, all fun and games though. I mean, how many people would see, like, and I'm trying to say this with quotation, see Champ a year without even realizing that could just be completely something else,
Right.
I mean, and this is going to be me, the skeptic, talking. For all I know, Champ doesn't really is out there per se. Like, because wasn't there a few years ago talk about that there was some body found that could have possibly have been Champ or something like that? I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Many. I don't remember what year, but I know there was I think somewhere around Westport, New York, that there was allegedly a carcass, we'll say, discovered. But I haven't really done a whole lot of looking around to see to find out more about that. There's actually the Joe Zarzinski book, Champ Beyond the Legend, has a whole list of sightings in the back. That came out in the 1980s, that book, so it only goes up to that point. But it may be mentioned there. I'm not sure.
Well, all right. Well, I've honestly, you guys answered everything that I've kind of written down for note-wise, but is there anything that I haven't asked that you guys would like to touch on or add to the conversation?
I'd say, come to Champ Day and have legendary fun. That's the only thing I have to add.
That's right.
At this point.
And
I think it's going to be a great time this year.
We've had a good time talking to you. And
yeah, thank you so much.
Everybody out there, tune in to Haunted Vermont.
Yeah.
All right. Well, instead of tuning in to me, how about we figure out where we can keep up to date and buy merchandise from the home of Champ, and where can we keep up to date with all things Champ Day anyways?
Well, the Champ Day Festival does have a Facebook page that is updated very regularly. It's Champ Day, the Lake Champlain Monster Festival. We do have an event page on the PortHenryMariah.com website, which is the Chamber of Commerce's current website. I think that's pretty much covers it.
Just to clarify, Home of Champ is not affiliated with the Champ Day Festival, but feel free to go to homeofchamp.com and take a look at some fun stuff there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fun stuff, I can tell you that right now. And when you get to the Home of Champ screen, you're going to be prompted with like 4 things, by the way. There's like the store, a blog, the About Us, and something else, but I cannot see the home page right now, unfortunately. It's contact, if you want to contact Kyle yourself for any Champ questions, I guess. But all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was really fun, and it was nice to get to understand the idea of Champ Day 2 and Home of Champ as well, because you know what? It's kind of nice to see something that actually have Champ merchandise, because usually when you type in Champ, you don't see that much.
Right.
You get basketball sneakers.
Or you get a T-shirt with Sasquatch riding Champ, like
there you go.
Cowboy. And yeah, it's just all fun and games as like the joke shirt. So yeah, and other weird stuff as well. But you know what? It's all fun and games. That's all. So thank you guys so much for Andrea and Kyle for joining the Haunted Vermont.
And thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for having us on.
It was a pleasure. It was great talking to you. And thank you, Pam, for the suggestion as well, because she brought up you guys. So, yeah. But all right. So everybody else listening, make sure, well, in this case, make sure you keep your eyes open on the wake, because you just never know what you're going to see. 1 hump, 2 humps, 3 humps, or 3 humps and a neck come out of the water and then disappear.